What's going on, guys? Averett 13 here. Today, of course, I've got the Microtech Stitch. This is the manual version here. There's kind of some of the product information. But yeah, I was lucky to kind of score one of these on Microtech's drop on their Facebook page. Not on their Facebook page. They announced it on their Facebook page, rather. It was direct from Microtech, right? And so, first and foremost, I know a lot of people have had frustrations kind of getting getting their hands on one of these or the MSI, and I've actually been able to score two of these, an MSI and of course the Stitch here, just by kind of keeping up with their social media accounts. They do a real good job, I think at least, of kind of letting people know when the drops are going to be. If I recall correctly, they don't really ever specify an exact time. They just might say, hey, dropping around 5 or 5:30 or between 5 and 6. I think they do something like that, which I do appreciate, right? Because they're not telling everybody exactly when it's going to drop and then just everybody, flocking to the server, on the website at that exact time. So just be patient, kind of keep up with their social media accounts, and you'll eventually grab one of these guys or the MSI, if you're after either one of those. And so real quick, let's, of course, talk about this guy. I'll give you kind of my thoughts and observations. Right off the bat, extremely attractive knife. Of course, it is a Microtech Stitch, right? It's a design that's been out, of course, collaboration with Borka Blades. But it's an attractive knife, but this one just looks, it just looks so good. It's got a stone wash on these edges here with kind of a satin on this flat. And it's just a good looking knife. Of course, here I've got the tan version, the tan G10. Honestly, I wanted the OD green, but when they come in stock, this was the first one that I saw, and I just grabbed one because I knew they were going to sell out extremely fast. Still an attractive knife, though, regardless. Of course, it's kind of claim to fame. Well, really, there's kind of two here, but the big one is it is a manual variant, right? Sporting the Ram-Lok. The other one is kind of this blade steel. It is an exclusive blade steel, M3. Let me see if I can get that to show up. M390 MK, if you can see it there. Anyhow, it's a variant exclusive to Microtech of M390 blade steel, which is already a really good steel. I'm not sure exactly what they've tweaked on it, but suffice it to say, it's probably going to perform pretty similar to M390, which is already a fantastic steel. So you've got a great blade steel. And of course, its other claim to fame here is going to be this Ram-Lok. Now, the Ram-Lok is it's an Axis style locking mechanism where you've got a spring-loaded mechanism back here that's going to slide forward to engage as the lock. And you can kind of see how it does that there. I really think it's a well done design. You've got this stepped X pattern here, which I think is really comfortable. I've seen some people say that it's sharp, and I'm not sure exactly where they're getting that. I'm not saying they're wrong, right? Everybody's different, but to me, this is a very comfortable design and pattern here. And you've also got here, I've had some people ask, so this is not, it looks like jimping, but it's really just more for aesthetic purposes, right? You can see it's flush with the scales. So that is not functional. It's smooth. You can hear it moving a little bit, but there's no way you're unlocking this by doing that. So that was a question that people had about this. But yeah, Ram-Lok, it's good. I like it. It's, like I said, a lot like an Axis lock, but I do think that the tabs here being a little bit bigger, a little bit easier, I think, ergonomic to grab. I think that makes the kind of the overall experience of this, really nice. So, yeah, kudos to them for kind of switching it up a little bit and coming out with a tweak on, an already proven locking mechanism. Of course, it's not exactly the same. It does have some differences here, so I'm not going to get into all that. Suffice it to say, it functions in a similar fashion. Let's do some size comparisons here. Let me move this out of the way. Actually, before I do that, let's just go ahead and knock out some measurements here with this. You've got a overall length of about 8.5 inches. Blade length is about 3 3/4, with a cutting edge of right at 3 1/8 there. So good full-size knife, right? It's not a small knife, but it's not, I don't think at least it's an extremely large or oversized knife. Here is a Chris Reeve large Sabenza. Looks like that. And let me actually move it over here too, because sometimes this camera angle will kind of plays with like the perspective a little bit. Very similar overall size. Of course, the stitch is going to be a little bit taller in this dimension here. Of course, the Sabenza is slimmer or sleeker, right? But overall length, blade, everything about the same. Of course, you got more cutting edge on the Sabenza because you don't have, the stitch does have this big choil, and the Sabenza does not. Paramilitary 2 looks like this, right? Again, overall size very similar. There's that perspective thing. It does look a little bit smaller there, but if you look at them overall, pretty similar. So if you're comfortable carrying a knife the size of a large Sabenza or Paramilitary 2, this is going to be just fine for you. And then the last one I'm going to do here is a size comparison is the 80-20 Slim, 80-20S, whatever you want to call it here. This is the American version. It's not the full thickness Demco. It is the slim variant. So looks like that. While we're talking about the Demco, it's a good time to bring up kind of a little bit of a difference here between these two. So on the Demco, move that out of the way. Whenever you disengage, whenever you disengage the locking mechanism, this blade falls, right? I mean, it just falls closed. Extremely, extremely drop shut when you do that. The Microtech requires a little bit of encouragement. So whenever you pull this tab, it just kind of sits there, right? So, I mean, it's completely disengaged right now. You give it a little bit of encouragement and it falls. It's still extremely smooth, right? Extremely smooth, but it does, if you're looking for drop shut, it's not doing that, at least right now. Now, it may break in and do that, but just give it a little bit of what would you call it? Encouragement. And this thing is, like I said, extremely smooth, and that's just something that, I don't know, I think you might want to be aware of. It's not a bad thing, but it's just it's just a thing, right? It's just different, So yeah, I mean, don't get expecting it to extremely drop close once you do that. You're gonna have to give it a little bit of encouragement. Speaking of the mechanism, I do think, as you can see, slow roll is just the best way to do it. Now you can of course grab the tabs and just kind of sling it out, but I think this is more controlled this way with a slow roll. But yeah, guys, Microtech stitch, great knife, attractive knife. You've got some exciting things going on here with this blade steel, the Ram-Lok. It's a knife that if you can grab and you've been after one, grab one. Of course, here's the pocket clip on it. Not deep carry, which for me is not a big deal. I've got to where it doesn't matter to me, right? This isn't a bad pocket clip. In fact, I think it's a pretty good one. But you are going to have, a little bit hanging out of the pocket. So if you're one of those guys who just has to have a deep carry pocket clip, it doesn't come with that, But I think that if you pass on this knife for that reason, I think you're gonna be extreme. You're missing out if you pass on it for that reason. But yeah, guys, extremely attractive knife. If you've been after one, be patient. Follow the Facebook page of Microtech. Follow their Instagram. They're gonna continue to make these things. They're a big seller right now, and they're a big seller for good reason. So yeah, guys, if there's anything I didn't kind of cover, or if there's any questions or anything you have about this knife, feel free to reach out to me in the comment section. I do my best to reply to everybody, and I've even made new videos in response to questions. before. So yeah, guys, that's it. Microtech stitch. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. As always, guys, stay sharp.